Why do statutes of limitation exist? So we'll start with defining the scope of the problem. The statute of limitations is, in essence, if you have X type of claim, you have a finite period of time within which to bring that claim. And there's a starting point, which can sometimes be told, and there's an ending point, which can sometimes be extended. But the general idea is we want a timeline within which you bring these claims. You want those things for several reasons. One is the degradation of memories and the ability to recapture evidence over a period of time. If I'm 40 years later trying to figure out what happened in 1984, it's a lot more difficult to do that than if I'm standing in court in 1986. And so there's a degradation of information. Two, because the structure of our justice system is an accusatorial adversarial system that is designed to help create justice, meaning the movement of the human from injustice to the feeling of justice, you're really in most ways resolving, not solving, resolving conflict among humans. And so because of that, there is a metric of, if it's not important enough for you to deal with this in a short period of time, then why are we going to let this continue for forever? And at a point, and really we're talking more of like statutes of ultimate repose, at a point the thing is so old that it's just patently unfair to try to litigate it anymore. One of the best examples I've ever come up with is if one of my ancestors, who I'm a direct heir of, was in a contract to loan 1 penny to the ancestor of Janine, for example, in 1742. We find the old contract, and that 1 penny was never, ever, ever repaid, and it came with an interest rate of 9% compounding per annum. Now Janine owes me, and I haven't done the math, but now Janine owes me $350 million because of that 1 penny from 400 years ago. It's really an unfair lawsuit at that point to try to hold Janine responsible for that. And there's other reasons why you couldn't do that, but that's the theoretical piece of, at some point, it's just really unfair to hold somebody responsible for that. It brings up a bunch of additional questions, right? But you're generalized, and these exist in civil, contract, and criminal statutes, and criminal rules. But your general rule is the more bad the thing, the longer the statute of limitations is going to be. Because little stuff, so for example in Oregon, a traffic ticket, a speeding ticket, statute of limitations on filing a traffic infraction or a violation infraction is 6 months, because it's a relatively small thing. You were speeding. If we're trying to come after you about that 3 years later, the unfairness metric sort of wins, the degradation of evidence metric sort of wins, and we want a shorter statute of limitations. But murder, for example, murder doesn't have a statute of limitations in Oregon. So as long as you're alive, you are potentially liable if you murder someone. And that, there's adjustments in terms of if you're a minor when the thing happens, or if you're incapacitated in a coma for a year. That's where some of the tolling on the start date, or if you don't discover that the harm actually occurred until a little bit later on, you can extend some of those timelines out a little bit. But those are your general rules. That's why they exist. And until next time.